At Google, what we look for in leaders actually doesn't vary that much, no matter what country you're from or what your background is. The most important thing we look for is what we call emergent leadership. This notion that you're willing to sort of step into a problem when you see something that needs a solution that you happen to know how to fix, but just as importantly that you're willing to step back and relinquish power when the need for your expertise or your skill set has passed. And it's quite different from the way a lot of organizations look at leadership. Most look at, were you president of this club? Did you get promoted quickly? What was your title? Those to us are far less important than the kind of leader that you are. And what we find is everywhere we recruit around the world, whether it's in China or Japan or in the US or the UK or France or Germany, the people who thrive at Google, who do best, regardless of their national background, are people who are able to step in, take control, influence a group, and just as importantly, even more importantly, relinquish that power and sort of have a sense of humility and egolessness about themselves, where what they care the most about is doing the right thing for our users and our partners, rather than what's going to get them to the next rung on the ladder. The most important thing about finding innovative people is actually not the finding them. That's hard, that's challenging. We have lots of ways and techniques we use to find those. And the dream would be to know everybody who's creative around the planet all the time. But the hardest part is not that. The hardest part is actually creating an environment where creativity and innovation can flourish. One of the things I believe deeply is that everybody has the capacity to be innovative and creative. And if you look at children interact, if you remember from when you were a kid, you played, you created games, you had this entire imaginary life, right? And somehow, over the years, through educational systems and societal systems, that gets beaten out of us. We lose that. And I think the biggest challenge is not so much finding innovative people, but it's creating an environment where people feel free to innovate and create, and where that little kid inside can come out and do great things and really flourish. At Google, the skills we look for that are most important to us are universal skills. We care about somebody's general cognitive ability. So are they good at solving problems? Are they able to figure out new things and acquire new skills? We care about somebody's leadership experience, and particularly whether they're able to step into a problem and help and then step back out of it. We don't care so much about titles. We care about whether somebody's going to be comfortable in our culture, and specifically what we mean by that is whether they'll be open to new ideas and able to learn and humble enough to realize they might be wrong. And the last thing and least important thing we care about is actually specific domain expertise. So we want these people to have these universal attributes, and those are the primary things we look for. At the same time, we look at it from a portfolio perspective where you absolutely need people with specialized expertise in the mix. And so we have world experts in machine learning. We have world experts in taxation because there's some real expertise you need there. But what we deeply believe is that the most important thing is to have these universal and general attributes which allow you to pick up new ideas and apply them in new and interesting ways. Thinking about a global user base has always been core to Google and what we do and how we think about the world. If you think about our products, the idea of searching for information, of making it universally accessible and available to people and useful, you have to start with a premise that there's information everywhere and anyone in any place might need it at any time. So thinking globally has been core to what we've been doing ever since the start. We used to talk about how important it was, and still do, to launch in lots and lots of different countries at the same time, to support lots of different languages, to have products that are accessible to all kinds of users, which means if you're blind or deaf, you should still be able to use our products. And to have products that work regardless of the user's level of sophistication. So things that work not just on a high-end desktop or a mobile phone, but on a feature phone where basically all it does is send text messages and phone numbers. And that thinking is really core to our company because we really believe information belongs to everybody and everybody should be able to access it. And the only way you do that is if you take a perspective that starts with thinking about all the users around the world.